Blue by Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Alex Cox and Merlin Mann. This week's challenge, find some good live music.
Hello!
Hello! How are you?
Good. It's my favorite day of the week.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the day when
because-
everybody in near Pooh Corner gets their house blown away. Wednesday. That's a Winnie the Pooh joke. It's not very cool.
No.
It's your favorite day.
I'm not.
Is it
cool
donut
enough
day?
to
Is it Taco
recognize
Wednesday?
it's a cool joke. Oh no, it's just that Wednesday is kind of like my Tuesday because Monday is the day I start the week. So if it's going poorly, I still have time to turn it around. It hasn't been bad, but hey.
Yeah.
It's
interesting. You take a minute and you reflect a little bit on how it's going.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a journal freak, and I don't talk about it because I don't want to be made fun of. That's not true. I like being made fun of. But gosh, you did another very old school Merlin Mann thing.
Ooh, I like when I do that. What I do?
Yeah. Well, we need to circle back for
I got nowhere to be.
a term for I want a term for nostalgia that isn't a bittersweet longing, but rather a reflection on the past that brings about feelings of fondness and optimism. But anyway, you did a nice little thing in Drafts, the app that we enjoy, where it's just a really easy daily note. And it's one of those things now that I actually
Oh, did you make it?
use. Yeah, and I was doing that anyway, but now it's much easier to search. And, it's one of those things. Like
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to just open a new document and type. What I liked about the one that my pal and I came up with was it creates a new file with your parameters. Mine are really simple, just like, today, like day of the week and the date, just something that makes it unique. But then also it adds a little section with a comment. So it knows that this is an official like today document. And then that assisted in the second part, which is actually the super neat part that makes me love it, is that it's much less likely to create duplicates.
Yes, that was my problem. Like I was
now, anytime you hit that in your little right rail, it'll either create the document for today if it hasn't been created, or will go to that. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's close enough for me. I use it every day. I just want a place. I want a place like I've got. Got this little A5 notebook over here that I write in, and then I just need a digital thing like that. Where it could be anything. It could be. It can be and is lots of things. Like every day it's a combination of thoughts and tasks and drafts of things that I want to write and, little bits of stuff. And one of my ideas, this is not nearly as important or useful, but I've been thinking about, is there a way to automate collection of like, give me the last 2 weeks of these, and then maybe use some wizardry to like, have you done the thing where have you done much with the writing tools thing with Apple Intelligence?
No.
Neither have I.
I've tried.
Yeah.
But with limited success. So
But what's neat is I had this file I created. I made a quick note. So in part of my drive to encourage myself to use Mac OS and just OS 26 stuff, I kept a running quick note in Notes, and then I was trying to get in the habit of using Spotlight. To get to that note, which is not that great. But then once I'm in there, it's just, it's garbage. Let me go find. But I imagine anyway that your brain is kind of like this too. How do I search Gmail? How do I search my Gmail from Spotlight? An early one. How do I get to this quick note with a key command? How do I get my usual folders to show up faster? Like Launchbar is so good at learning that. Within 2 or 3 times you've visited anything, it knows it. So, but all of these, it's
We
just
talked about this in the after show last week. Give us your fucking money.com. We have a Patreon. Merlin doesn't mention it, but I would
was a good
like you
episode.
to subscribe
That was a joyful
to it because
episode.
Merlin says it was. I like computers, but I've been trying so hard with Spotlight. It's like, oh man, you're trying. It
really
so
fights me.
close.
It really, and as I think Jason Snell put this really well in a couple things he's written. It's kind of, first of all, I absolutely agree with him. Like anything that improves the stock setup, I was going to say for whoever, but like just it improves the stock setup. That's good. Because to me, everything new that I can do is an option, whether I use it all the time or master it or whatever. It's that whole like, why do you have 4 calendar apps thing? Well, I like options, but for getting to that, first of all, the power user stuff is really hard to discover on your own. It is, in fact, kind of difficult to get to on your own. And if you want to do the power user stuff, here's where it gets ironic or paradoxical. If you want to do the power user stuff, like it fights you sometimes a little bit. And you got to go hit the right tab to go to the right place. And you can't have a universal key command for it and stuff like that. You can only have these custom key commands for, I think, shortcuts and, whatever tab 3 is. But yeah, it does kind of fight you a little bit, doesn't it? Launchbar gets it a lot faster.
I am the official computer person of my family, as most podcasters in the world
Yeah, it's
are,
funny, that
I
overlap.
suppose.
That overlap is real. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. And I almost wonder, is it this another instance of like, I don't know how to say sandboxing when it's just of Apple's own features, but I expected like my mom to, I hate saying mom, but 65-year-old woman, who is like, who is familiar with Spotlight and is suddenly like, what is this? But she didn't discover it. And I'm like, okay, how much is it kind of like iPad OS where Apple's like, we don't want to freak people out. We don't want to worry people. And except we do want to worry people with the scare. What was it called? This scare sheet. I'll put it in notes. It's funny. I don't know, man.
There's I'm trying to
like people use Spotlight now. That's wild to think about. Not for the things that we're talking about, but when I was showing my parents Quicksilver, I never thought that they would care, and now it's a normal thing.
Yeah. I made a crack about Alan Dye earlier today, just glomming onto the meme. But I don't know if he coined this, but the first person I heard use this phrase was Jakob Nielsen, progressive disclosure. Progressive disclosure defers advanced or rarely used features to a secondary screen, making applications easier to learn and less error prone. Right. So it's that pretty sensible thing. And again, for me, I'm always coming back to the analogy of the kitchen, right? Where like a really obscure giant countertop appliance that you use once a year, like you don't leave it there. It takes up too much space. That's an active working area. Like that goes somewhere else. Whereas your forks and your paring knife and your spatula, like you really want to know where those are and be able to get to them. But like I think progressive disclosure or whatever it's called, it's a really interesting idea though, because that makes it so that people can intuitively sort of pick up how the app wants to be used. And if they want to delve in further, I feel like some apps do that way better than others. I think Apple has seeded the awesomeness of that. Something like Things, I think, is an app where or I guess to some extent, OmniFocus was always like this, where OmniFocus can just be a list if you want. Like you can turn everything off. You have maximal, at least when I was using it, you have maximal control over like what kind of fields you wanted and stuff like that. But like with Things, like it's a source of delight to me that like there's a meta key list. Like you hit a letter and it starts searching for that letter in your context, for example, or in your, what I mean? Things like that where like, and you go, oh, I get it. That's a second way that I can do this. I don't always have to use the menu, you realize. And then later on you go, oh, I don't always have to use the mouse. And you go, well, I don't even really always have to use a keyboard with a meta key. Like you'll discover that a thoughtfully designed user experience whether that's an app or whatever, gives you the opportunity to like not feel like an idiot and yet still have room to grow. Whenever I bought, we used to in the 90s, whenever I would buy a book, I'd always look at the table of contents. And my rule of thumb was always like, there should be something here that I recognize as something. And there should be some things in here that I don't know. And then, you know what I mean? Like, if you open it up and you don't understand anything in the index or in the table of contents, that's probably going to be a frustrating read. If you open it up and you know everything in the table of contents, so like, how do we make it so that people can go on a journey that will not get in the way of their work as they find their way to integrating this app into their life? And that is way easier said than done. It's easy to slag it when it doesn't work the way you want, but like, I sent you last thing, sorry. I got up early and I had my pills. I know, thank you.
I didn't have, I had pills, but I did not get much sleep last night, which is why
that's good. You're good
very
like
excited
that.
About computers. That's my default when I'm tired.
Well, I was trying to find, I was sending some photos. I was sending a pal of mine some photos from when I did a project with him this morning. And I was trying to identify faces in photos. And I guess I hadn't done that much lately. And I would go to like, you know, the people and places or whatever, you know, and then click on Alex or whatever. And I was used to seeing at the bottom, like buttons. Like you'd see, like in this case, it was this photos of Leo Laporte. And it had identified like 5 or 6 photos of Leo. And I know I've got a ton more. And so I was saying, because, you know, once I find photos of Leo, then I can also find pictures of Sean Carruthers, which is what I was ultimately looking for. And so I go to the Leo page and it's just 5, you know, photos on there. And I'm like, huh. I feel like there used to be a button at the bottom that you click to say, like, whatever, find more photos of this person, or, you know, see if I can find more photos of this person. And I was like, okay, I'm an idiot. Like, what? I'm going to the menus. And of course, there's a triple dot at the top. And the triple dot has like 6 or 7 commands under it, including, you know, find more photos of this person. Like, I don't know where that trade-off is, but like, it's going to take me a while to get used to stuff like the new camera interface. It just constantly wants to take a 48 megapixel selfie of me, and I don't know why. And like, maybe I have preserved settings turned on wrong or something, but like, it's weird though. Spotlight's in a weird position. Jason put it really well. I'm repeating myself. It's an interesting thing. It's so great that this stuff is in there. It's so great that these app intents are going to be available. I think over time, we're going to see those in more places that instantly make sense to people, but I would not. You know, I do a lot of stuff with computers, and I discovered that Amazon thing we talked about last week. I discovered that like a week and a half ago.
Yeah,
I mean, and then I went to like
Amazon.
I thought, and you know, hey, this is great. All the 26s are out. I'll go and I'll look at the documentation, and like, I'm not trying to be a turd in the punch bowl, but like as I've been saying to you for weeks, I can't wait till the documentation for this stuff comes out, because I was hoping for like an official Apple detailed power user way to say like, hey, you know, you like doing stuff with, you know, hitting command space. Well, look at all the stuff you can do, and here's some tips. And, you know, sort of along the lines of like, I have to find out every possible hex color that you can use in Apple Home. I had to go to other sites to find that. To find every conceivable command that you could use in Siri, I had to go to other sites to find that. I don't know why they're so reluctant to not just print a giant effing list of like all the stuff something can do, like a dictionary. Like, I don't want to read a dictionary for fun, but I would sure like a well-organized collection of words when I want to know what something means. And it's just strange to me because they're kind of like, okay, here you go, have fun. Go be kids.
My theory about this is that it is part of their whole ethos of the term I forgot, progressive disclosure.
Progressive disclosure.
We don't
I just
need
literally
that.
just sent you the link. There you go.
Yeah. Yes. And it's like, oh, we don't need that because you will discover it on your own. And if you get too in the weeds, you're not going to use the actual product the way you want it to, and blah 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 blah. But I mean, as this Wikipedia page says, there was literally an I feel like I knew this, but it got like pushed back in my head because it makes me sad it doesn't exist anymore. There was an Apple multimedia lab that was just researching this stuff and had a cognitive psychologist.
Did they have a front facing?
Yeah.
Did they like talk to the public kind of stuff?
Yes, there's a whole. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna need to bother Stephen Hackett next week about this.
He's not busy right now.
Totally forgot. Yeah. What could he be doing? Oh, thank you, Memphis, though, for.
Oh, we should say if you wanna help a really good cause, go to St. Jude, STJUDE. Go to stjude.org/relay and give them some money. It's a really good. It's got Chocolate Cancer Awareness Month, and that's a good. We'll just do that in passing. It's a good cause.
Hey, friends! If you forgot my birthday,
I just did that, Alex.
$35, please. Thank you.
What?
The end.
What?
I know I have friends who listen to the show that didn't wish me a happy birthday, and they should feel bad and give St. Jude at least $35 because I turned 35. It's the rule. Yeah. I know there's like Marco's Law or whatever, but I don't have fancy pants friends. I just. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I see the floor.
No. This I'm trying. I mean, there's lots of. I feel like there's lots of like pretty good examples of this. But I don't know. I feel like this is something I doubt he invented this idea. It doesn't really matter. But I think of this as being a very John Syracuse point is that, boy, I never use the word belies correctly, so I shouldn't use it. But sometimes we try to make something, what do they say? Try to make something as simple as it needs to be and no simpler, or as simple as it can be and no simpler, or whatever. But like the problem is if you make an overly simplified design for something that then actually does require you to have more control than that simple design offers, it may not be successful. So like an example of that, and forgive me, is HomeKit and Home, where like it's unless you've got, like me, unless you've got third-party apps that help you with this, it's really difficult to figure out why something's not working the way you expected. Because, you see it on TV and you go, oh, it's a light bulb, and you plug it in and then you can control it. And it's like, well, okay, but like I have a Hue light bulb in the bedroom that refuses to cooperate with the rest of the room in the most like frustrating ways. So like I've told it like, okay, you're part of this group and do this thing, and adaptive lighting, please, adaptive lighting, for God's sake, until they fix that. Adaptive lighting turned off. I wish you could pick your own range of colors for adaptive lighting. It's always too blue for me. But, anyways, so the 4 other lights in the room are all behaving very nicely, and know that when you hit the button at this time of day, this happens. Well, first of all, it doesn't participate in that. It participates in that system if you manually hit it. But then stuff happens like all the other lights are really pretty at 5 o'clock, and the one light by my bed is like bright blue. And then sometimes, and I don't know if it's accidentally connected to like the wrong thing, but then sometimes at night, Madeline's turn the lights off, and I'll go to just kind of check in on her and look in, and that light's just blazing blue. And
we've got a greedy green. It just will always turn on. It's always green. Don't know why. Don't know how.
I'm not saying that is, and because again, we have to control for who's our friends who are listening to this and who are probably people who like computers at some point in their life. But like that's not a great experience. And while I appreciate the idea of the simplicity of the Apple Home app and its various platforms, like if you have to do anything at scale, including troubleshooting, it's really, really frustrating. And in my case, if I'm dealing with, I told Syracuse about this last night, dealing with these Nanoleaf lights where I had to delete and re-add all of my Nanoleaf lights through the app. HomeKit, if I put it in HomeKit and then tried to do
on iOS in the
on iOS. And the problem then was, you're doing the thing where, you're on the device list, and we keep resorting it, and like, this is not available, and they all have different names. It's coming up with different names for things, and finally, I'm like a fucking cuck. I'm renaming all of my lights using the unique ID at the end of the name, so I can figure out which is which, and I got to scan every code twice. The problem is, if I put it in through HomeKit, then Nanoleaf thinks it's a duplicate, and like won't play nice with it, and use scenes or do like all the functional stuff that works in that system. So I had to delete over 20, if you include light strips, light bulbs, those douchebag hexagon things, over 15 of those I had to just delete and start over, and then reconfigure and then make new scenes for all of them from scratch.
My eyes are like watering up just thinking about squinting at all of the little QR codes on.
And which one is this? And now I've got to, ironically enough, my eyesight's not great. So like I eventually got to where I turned all the lights on really bright, and I just take a photo of every device And then like in Apple Photos, I like identify, if it's not obvious from context what that device is, like which room quote it's in and stuff like that. I write that down. And so at least then I can go back and just scan the photograph rather than having to, because I don't know if you know this, but like those Nanoleaf shapes for which they first became famous, they're really cool, but they're clever in some ways. They're not super well made, but there's the cable with a weird dongus. And that goes to this little controller that clips onto one of the 6 sides of any hexagon. And then all those other hexagons have these little, not bridges, but little joiner things so that
Yes, this was one of the... I was going to say the one bane of 2020, but in 2020,
just that one, yeah.
Just that what the one. For some I have a pile. For some reason, I quote needed it for work, not this work, like actual work. And the fucking little they look like the things you put on when you get stitches, right? That tiny,
sutures.
Really
Yeah. And you got to do it really carefully, and you can't do it on the floor and then pick it up because they fall apart and they don't stick to the wall that well. I told you for the longest time before I went to the higher grade of Gorilla Tape, like when the streetcars go by, like one of them would fall off the wall. But here's the thing: the code that you have to scan is, so you're familiar with the shapes.
Yes.
Okay, so you got a hexagon. Let's say you start with just one, because you only need one really to do it. So you have one on that hexagon. One side of that hexagon connects. I gotta look real quick. Yeah, one side of the hexagon, like the power goes into one of those 6 areas, and then you've got the little controller that goes onto it, and then that's affixed to your wall, right? You can remove it, but the code you have to scan is on the back of the controller. So you have to take the hexagon, dismount it from the wall, or at least lift it enough so that it's not elegant to do at all. And it's like, for the longest time, there's so much stuff where in HomeKit, it would just, whatever you scan in HomeKit, and then it will also conversely then show up in Eve. I'm a huge fan of Eve products, partly just because it all works so well together, but that kind of stuff is frustrating. Yeah, and it gives you stuff you don't get other places. Like it exposes thread network stuff and Matter stuff and things like that. But just so folks know, if anybody struggles with this, that's it. Exactly it. You just sent me a photograph. That's exactly it.
I just sent Merlin Mann a photo of one of the, I don't know, they're like aspirational dinguses on my desk where I'm like, I'm going to fix this, but I know I won't, and I should just throw it away.
Otherwise, if you put it away, then you wouldn't know it has to be fixed.
I bet Max spent a bunch of money on this at some point, and I feel guilty throwing it away, but I don't know what I'm going to use.
But it's also confusing because, did you ever notice that they seem to think, so you've got the power thing for the strips in particular. You've got so they do light strips that I think are good in some ways. You've got like the
they're strips of lights and they're pretty.
Like, first of all, like they don't really stay in the pins will not stay into the connector thing. So I've had to like hot glue those to keep it from just falling apart. But on the hexagons, did you notice your power plug has a HomeKit code on it too?
Yup. Mm-hmm.
But
if your cat bites through the cable and you need to buy another one and then you don't have the
the thing is you can use a different power supply with a different dongus and it'll work fine, which is good.
That's what I'm saying.
But then if you go photograph the code that's on the plug, that's not going to match the code on the dongus.
Yes. Oh.
But
come on,
I'm not sure why I'm bitching about all of this.
Because this is a thing that we love about computers because it makes our personal spaces a little bit more special and delightful and fun. And it fulfills a silly promise that I've been making to my friends and family of hey, you can make your personal spaces special, delightful, fun. And then it's kind of like with the trans thing. It was good for a while. Like it was, you talked to Amazon's lady.
Oh my God.
It worked
almost
pretty
every
well
day.
for a while.
Almost every day I find myself saying aloud to my wife, honestly, like generally it has to do with the voice stuff or with just general like automation stuff. I'm just like, I can't believe we've had The Lady in the Tube for 10 years. And it seems like it got better and better, like so much voice assistant stuff either stayed the same or got better for a few years. And it feels like there's been like this 5-year regression ever since. And now voice, to me, like I said before, I use voice, and my family uses voice for reminders. My kid does a lot of cooking and a lot of baking, so he talks into his watch a lot. I do a lot of, to my Google friend, I'll yell out, here's my tip to you. Don't never say set a 10-minute timer. That's insane. You say set a 10-minute rice timer or set a 10-minute pasta timer or like say what the thing the timer is for is. Why? I'll never forget that. Well, first of all, you will. Second of all, sometimes you need 2 timers for something. Sometimes you need to like check on something and then an upper limit timer for when to take it out. But also, if for some reason like you like had a heart attack and died, wouldn't it be nice for the person who gets the alarm to know what it's for?
I was going to say, I wish that I was the sort of person who ever had the kind of confidence to think that I would remember what a timer was for. If you're that person.
Well, but then it's on us as Generation ADHD. It's also on us to like remember to do that and to as Max would say, operationalize that consistency. But speaking of ADHD, like I've thought about this not a lot consistently or at length, but you got ADD, right? You've been it's one of your things.
Comorbidity with ADHD, I'm on Adderall at the moment.
Okay, it's partly for our listeners. So a thing that's sometimes a little bit, one of the numerous things that's a little bit difficult, the subtleties about ADHD that's kind of difficult to explain to people. In my case, not that anybody cares, but in my case, my garden variety ADHD as diagnosed, and I don't know how it's progressed or changed or whatever, but is that I have the most boring, like non-sexy version of ADHD. Like I don't gamble, I don't bone down, I don't do those kinds of risky things. In fact, if anything, I'm probably a little bit risk averse, but my primary problem is not that I can't pay attention to things. It's that I don't do a great job of exercising executive function to focus mindfully on the thing that I would like to focus on or I should focus on or whatever. That used to be my main thing. And I get flustered. And then you end up like maybe like you feel today with less sleep. Like what's the word? It's great to feel relaxed and energetic. It's not fun is to feel anxious and exhausted. And when you have ADHD, you feel anxious and exhausted a lot. But here's a funny thing. This is the actual thought. This is probably obvious, but I think there's really something to, and this bumps up against our ChatGPT stuff as well. I think there's really something to being able to collapse on a problem, a project, and to like really kind of get absorbed in a project. And I think if you have ADHD, there can be something very enervating, something very buoyant about disappearing into a project where you get to follow your nose and make a series of small decisions and improvements. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's, I think for people or for me with ADHD and procrastination, I don't want to do that big thing. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know how to eat the whole elephant or whatever, or swallow the frog or whatever. And it's like,
Pause.
No, there's a book called Eat the Frog.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And it's by, it's fine, but it's one of those like, anyway, it's not my way of dealing with procrastination, my more like clinical way, but like, I think there's something to that. I'd love to talk about something I did this weekend that perhaps only you would care about, but, from an ADHD standpoint, and I can't speak for other people, like some of my friends, I won't project what other people's version of ADHD is or when they grew up. But I do find that actually part of the success of things like OmniFocus and GTD in my life was learning how to turn that liability of mine into, if not a superpower, at least something manageable. And that involved things like breaking projects into pieces and applying some somewhat rational rigor to like, okay, are you really going to do this, guy? Because nobody ever asks themselves that, because they don't need to ask themselves that. Of course they'll do it. That's why that thing sits on your desk for years, just because you're definitely going to do it. You're going to definitely answer that email, right? All that stuff. Well, like I don't have the luxury.
This QR code. It's going to happen.
I don't have the luxury of doing that because otherwise then actually nothing would ever get accomplished. I don't, and I think a benefit for people who have attention issues or dopamine related issues is to think about context you can provide for yourself and again, I'm not trying to turn this into some kind of like article in Teen Vogue or something about like your ADHD superpower. I'm not saying that. It sucks. It really sucks. I wish I didn't have it. But why not try to, in the same way that I would say, learn when you have energy in the day and schedule your stuff around that, like an adult. And, oh, that must be nice. Well, yeah, it is nice. It's called being an adult. It means like if I'm exhausted, I'm not going to tuck into some new project that requires a huge amount of attention up front. I'm going to try and cut it into morsels where, like in the getting things done methodology, you would say I've broken this up into what he calls contexts, which means I've got projects, which are goal or things I want to achieve. And the projects have constituent tasks, and tasks, if I choose to, have constituent contexts, which means I've thought about the result that I want, which is a big noun. And then I've thought about the things I need to do to make that theoretically happen, which is a ton of tiny verbs. And if I make those verbs tiny enough and say where the verbs happen, that gives me a lot of flexibility and freedom, because then I can say classically, and I'm just paraphrasing David Allen, like if I need to go drill a hole in my house, well, no matter how much I want to drill that hole, if I'm at my office, I can't do that. So it doesn't make a ton of sense for me to be fretting about that. And I don't fret about it. I might fret about it that it's taking longer than I wanted, but that's in this other segmented, compartmentalized area over here. Like I'm not working on that project right now. I'm not working on these tasks right now, and I don't have access to these contexts right now. Well, is there any project that like particularly like needs a plate spun on it today? Well, what are the little verbs for that? Like I can manage that, and I think that's a healthy way to look at these things, and an integrative, not a great word, an integrative approach to figuring out the role technology can have in improving your life.
I love Old Merlin Man. Not Old Merlin
Man. Oh,
Man.
thank you. No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Oh God, I almost said I like the ones where you don't prepare. I am really glad that
I got more here. I wrote more. I told you I didn't. I mean, my thoughts on the challenge this week are going to be all over the map. But I did write down some computer things to talk to you about.
I kind of connected in the way my brain works. The whole just idea, God, of progressive disclosure, and this week's challenge. I don't know if we want to talk about it yet, but like software is so much of software. I mean this in a good way. Can be initially a performance. It sounds
by the people who made it or the people who use it.
By the people. Oh, well, I mean both. Like, but
how do you
by the
mean?
people who make it. Like when you open Audio Hijack for not even the first time, but like I open Audio Hijack and it is showing me what I have done in the past and what I can do in the future. Like both of those things are available. It feels like the perfect amount of setting the stage for whatever is going to happen. And I think the way that Apple does this with the Tips app, which like I was excited when I saw that. I'm like, oh, this could be really, really cool. Like the initial tutorials can be really, really good. Just like if you have,
especially at the time and the interest. I usually take it when I get a fresh one of those. Like I just got one in Things where it pops up and says, "Hey, we're ready for 26," and I'll usually do a screen grab of that. But like sometimes though, you have to find that right mix, right? Like with like versus the sort of turgid onboarding experience in some apps where they're like, "Well, if we force you to look at these 11 pages, then you'll never bug us for support." And it's like, well, no, I just want to go see if your app does the thing I need. So skip, that kind of stuff. But it's hard to get that balance. Don't you think it's hard to get the balance of that right?
Yeah, that's why Ghislaine Maxwell should write more documentation for Apple, because
I wouldn't be against that.
You have to know, just like you want to know where all the hex codes are, you want to know what brand of mouthwash to put in the guest bedroom. Can't stop thinking about the scope that she puts in there.
Why? That's so strange to me. I mean, can't that just be a preference?
I don't think it is, though. I really don't.
You think she just buys Scope because she thinks it's less costly?
A little bit, or that there's
She doesn't
someone
want to waste
there.
Jeffrey's money.
She wants to punish someone because Scope isn't. It's not
Well, to you.
good.
To you.
It's, if someone out there likes Scope, I would love to hear from a Scope
I like
enthusiast.
Listerine, personally.
Yes, and
'Cause
you know,
it
there's
hurts. It punishes me, and I deserve it.
I know. Well,
Punish
the
my
first
mouth.
time. Yes.
Title.
Typing it.
Well, punish my mouth. I sent you a screen grab of a page that I made a couple weeks ago because I just wanted to have all the stuff I needed in one place. And so I'll mention a couple. This is when I was troubleshooting some home stuff centered around Nanoleaf, and it's too much to go into. But I'll just mention a couple apps. I think these are made by the same people or person. One of them, so if you have, let me put it this way. So if you're sometimes like, I'm confused, like what is going on? Why is my stuff being weird in Apple Home? Maybe not everybody needs this. I do think a lot of this stuff is not made to scale up even to like a power user. Like if you have to do something to a lot of things, there's not easy ways to do that at home. Just think of like what you have to go through to create a scene. Creating a scene, like
It is not made for millennial dads, which is
there's
now I
there's
think
no
the
dragging.
primary
There's no
users.
dragging. There's not much right clicking. There's not an escape key. There's not an easy way to select all. I mean, I can't believe how many places I'm trying to make myself use fucking Apple Mail because I haven't used it since Christ was a corporal, and it works everywhere, and people like it. And I'm trying to make myself use it, but like, there's just all kinds of things that even compared to the Gmail, like iOS app. Like I feel like my fingers have been like wrapped in duct tape where I'm like I know if I'm in Gmail on the web, I can hit asterisk A. I have to type it. I can't write it. I type asterisk A capital IE. That selects all the email in my inbox, marks it as read, and archives it. Beep boop boop. That's all I did. Just those things. No meta key. No meta key.
There should be a name for that.
And
Yeah.
it just does all of that. Whereas like, I'm like, oh, how do I tell it that all of these things that have been sitting outside of my well-filtered, how like Gmail will let me like unsubscribe with a click right at the top. It finds that for me. Like in Apple Mail, it's like, well, here's lots of stuff. And you're like, how do I make all of this do something different than what it is? Okay, so first of all, this company, I think this is all by the same person, by the same developer. So check out, if you're having trouble scaling up your home experience, you might look into an app that I like called, an iOS app called Home Care. Are you familiar with this app?
No, I'm familiar with the other one, not Home Care.
Yeah, same people. So you know HomePass? Well, I'm doing this.
yes.
Do you tell people what HomePass does?
It holds all of your HomeKit stuff that you, like when you need to take a picture of the QR codes on your Nanoleaf and before you glue it on the wall, it just does it
You
in
will have to come up with your Matter or HomeKit code again. Like someday you will. I mean, unless something goes catastrophically wrong in the next week, and I'm very sorry to hear, like you're going to need all of those codes again.
And you're going to forget if it is the Matter
but
one
it's
or the
easy enough to
HomeKit
handle
one.
that onesie twosie when it's a light bulb or a light strip or a thermostat or whatever it is, I guess. Like it's easy enough because you just go, oh, I got a new thing, beep, I'm done. But like if you've got 5, 10, 15, 50 of those, that doesn't scale up very well. You're going to need all that. And go, first of all, so this is what it looks like. I've opened Home Care. And you can see here, it scans my network and it looks at all of my HomeKit devices. It tests whether the HomeKit hub, which in my case is one of my iPods, I think, average response time, network. It checks your bridges, your devices. You can run through and test your scenes. So if you're having a scene that's not working the way you want, it'll walk you through. There's 95 steps in this, and I'll show you each step of this. It'll do the entire thing. And this was instrumental to me in being able to fix my shit. Because I could see like there's 15 things that aren't showing up, and then you changing, you do it again, like okay, and now there's 8 things that don't show up, and now there's 20 things that don't show up, and like having to do that by just hitting a button on your phone in home and waiting is like it's excruciating, you know. So HomePass and HomeCare. HomePass, you put all your stuff in. If you're a big HomeKit boy, I think that's a good idea. And if you're struggling with some of your home stuff, I think Home Care is good. Home Lights is the other one. This person has Home Lights. Oh, look at that. Ooh, his name is Antonin.
There are 2. You're thinking of 2 companies, or at least 2 people. There's Pierce Media Limited. Hey, Pierce. He does the HomePass
and HomeCare are different people.
HomeLog. Yes.
Thank you.
But there's a bunch.
You're friends with Pierce. Is he related to Greg?
OPSEC. But
you're obviously friends. You should ask.
There's a one that I like. I don't know if you've tried it, but HomeLog that it does something. It doesn't do the. I don't think you can test. Oh wait, yes, you can test scenes. Okay, yes, this does something similar, but it's
Jesus Christ.
What
I just did a search in Spotlight on my phone for home. You do not believe how many apps I have that do this. This is just, I've got Home Scan, Home Run, Home Plus, Home Dash, Home Assistant, Home Widget, iHome Control, HD Home Run, which of course, Scene Flow for HomeKit. I've got a lot of home things. I'm happy at home.
Yeah. It's you know what? HomeKit is great for if you have a trick house or trick apartment. Like you just document all of the things.
I think there's so much Apple stuff that's like, there's so much stuff just in general. And boy, this is so mean. It's perfect for an Airbnb that people you hate stay at. Mm-hmm, like that TV and that remote, that'll be fine if you hate the people who stay in your Airbnb. This all of this stuff. Hey, you put a lock on the closet, it'll be fine. Make sure you clean up before you leave. Fucking idiot. But like I couldn't live with a lot of that kind of stuff. And I mean, like, I still struggle with this. I was telling Syracuse last night, I'm this close to just buying a Hoobs box because I stopped using Home Assistant a while back, as I explained, because as much as I love what it did via my Synology, Home Assistant basically, how do you describe it? It's part of if you're not, I'm sorry, may not be interesting to people, but if you're interested in like how you could bring all the ecosystems together and then exercise ridiculous amounts of control over it, there are things like Home Assistant and Hoobs, which is like Home Assistant in a box. And there's other ones too. There's another one people like.
How do you spell Hoobs?
It's like boobs with an H.
Why is it?
But Home Assistant, the idea is whatever you're like Home Assistant, it's an open source project where like instead of just having, God, I was talking to John also about YoLink, where I'm like, I got so much shit that just doesn't fucking work. And it doesn't have a hub. It was easy to buy and shit to use. And I'm more and more inclined to say like, hey, how about a hub for this? How about a hardware thing that knows what the fuck these things are? Because as dumb as the Hue system has stayed for a while, it at least works. And it's got, I mean, I can't figure out that mystery meat bulb I've got, but I'll live. But like, what Home Assistant attempts to do, and I think very successfully does, if you are a nerd, if you are a dork, oh boy, is this ever a project. This is like, I imagine this is the living in a house version of building Linux from source. Like you get this thing and all it is just a framework kind of, I don't know if it's the term, but like it's a platform. Okay, now what do we do? Okay. You want me to do all your HomeKit stuff? Yes, please. Get the right plugin for it. And all of a sudden, all your HomeKit stuff works in Home Assistant. Awesome. What about Amazon stuff? No problem. Ring doorbells, whatever. But then you can also integrate stuff like geolocation via devices. Like you're not stuck with just, oh, my Canary camera turns on when somebody's on the premises. You can get incredibly specific about when this person is in that location, this happens. It's not just when somebody's here or gone. You can say like when my kid arrives at their friend's house, do this. If you wanted to, you could do all that. And So it brings all of that in, basically everything you could ever imagine. You know how open source projects work. Think about like Chrome plugins or Chrome extensions. Anything you could conceivably want to do with your world of the house, there's probably a way to do it in Home Assistant. And I loved it. I used it for quite a while at home and at my office in separate instances. I really liked it a lot. But you know what happened? I started using Home Assistant because of the limitations of the HomeKit platform. And because, if all you ever want to do is stuff with Google and Alexa, everything will work. Like you can get whatever, you can buy something from Pork Chow Mai and install it on your network and it'll work fine. I don't know what the company's called. But if you want it to work with HomeKit, like if you want a camera that works with your HomeKit stuff that's not a Logitech camera, and you want secure video, or you don't want to have to pay a subscription fee to Eufy or whatever, Home Assistant will do all of that. And here's the sad thing. The bummer, is that I put all that together. I maintained it. I love doing it because I have ADHD and that's my kind of project. But it eventually got to where I could no longer tell. I keep coming back to Chernobyl and the meter that only goes to 3 Rontgen. It got to where so many things would I'm going to phrase this so carefully. It got to be where so many things appeared to be broken altogether or appeared to be working. What's worse than broken is it's just sometimes it doesn't work. And if things are relying on other things, it just sometimes doesn't work. And I don't know why. And I was like a regular old middle-aged man that just like tears the wires out of his wall because his wife doesn't like him or something. I had to turn off Home Assistant and go back to just pure HomeKit because everything was so broken. I could no longer tell which broken thing was causing which broken thing. And my meter only went to 3 Rontgen. So I couldn't even tell, they wouldn't even give us the good meter. And the rods are going in, baby.
I guess it's long enough.
They pinned it all on that one guy. He wasn't a very nice guy, but
Yeah, all right. I want to know about the boobs with the H. Why haven't I heard of this?
Well, you know what this is? This is adjacent. I feel like this is very, and forgive me because I don't know anything about what I'm about to say. So forgive me in advance. For I have sinned. This is very related to the Raspberry Pi phenomenon. So in my initial attempt to get Home Assistant on a chip, HAOC, was my first attempt to do this was through a Raspberry Pi. And oh boy, is that ever a fun hobbyist project that is not how I want to spend my time. Where I got the thing where it's like a computer and a keyboard. I got the $200 one with the computer and a keyboard, and it comes with a little hard drive, and you got to wire stuff together, and it's like, no thanks.
You went all in. Oh, yeah.
Are you at hoobs.com?
I am indeed at hoobs.com, and it sounds like exactly what everyone should have, and so why not? How do it do? Like it's got everything.
Well, because the thing is, and I apologize. Is this not Home Assistant? Is Home Assistant? I thought Home Assistant was what ran on Hoobs. It might no longer be Home Assistant, but
no, it's
because there's different ones of these that people like.
Yeah, Home Assistant,
What's the other one?
Google Home.
No, not like that.
No?
Home Assistant. What's the word people use? Home Assistant alternatives.
Why Hoobs is the ultimate smart home solution. Let me send this to you because I'm like, okay, this is the promise of.
Yeah, Homebridge. Well, not the Homebridge. That's a good, easy one you can set up. Yeah, I think that's one that a lot of people use. But the thing is, like I say, it's I don't know what you call this in computers. I want to call it a platform. And the idea is, well, we made you a platform, and like that's not a thing that you don't like push a button and platform does thing. Well, people develop things like plugins for that, or they develop the underpinnings closer to the home metal, I guess, that let those things operate together. But once it plays well with Home Assistant or whatever, once it plays well with that, the music just goes around and you hook up, you're just hooking cables to cables. Well, metaphorically. It's really powerful. But it was just it was a bummer for me because I was like, I finally got to where, like, you know how it is when you have to talk to the lamp and your family's like, what is happening with the house? And you're like, but it was mostly happening at my office, which was, even that was a little frustrating because it wouldn't, like stuff like I have automations to turn off fans and things like that. So like now I've got to go find out why the fan didn't turn off and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you really have to, it helps to commit to one of these, but even if you commit to one of these systems, you never, outside of Home Assistant or whatever home control stuff, it's difficult to know whether you've made a good long-term decision about how you're going to be able, like Wemo, okay? I bought a ton of Wemo stuff, Belkin Wemo stuff, because it was a great way of having ad hoc. I've recommended it to people, right, for years, because Belkin's a good company, and Wemo made these, mostly I bought smart plugs, right? And so you get it on your thing, and you can put it in Apple Home and stuff like that, and it's great. And now you've got a way to control your plugs, you know, without having to, like, you know, make a digital lamp or whatever. They just EOL'd, I think, everything they've ever made. Like, like all your Wemo stuff you bought for your Airbnb. I mean, if it still works, Hakuna Matata, but I wouldn't expect a ton of like technical support on that.
Oh, is that why my sun lamp isn't? Oh,
I could be wrong.
Huh. Oh, crap.
I wasn't paying attention because I phased those out for Eve Energies over time.
Oh, shit, dog. Oh, no.
Wemo is dead. All support ending.
After careful consideration, we
good.
made the difficult decision to end technical support for older Wemo products effective January 1st.
Our amazing journey. By older, I mean existent.
Well, and
there's stuff that does stuff.
They didn't say
like,
sunset in this. Huh?
I was trying so hard to find, I've been trying to find, you know, like those energy vampire things, like a kilowatt, those things where you can like see what the energy usage of something is. Like I've got one of those on our house that connects up like through Pacific Gas and Electric so I can see our energy usage at the house level.
Whoa.
But you can also then have that control if you choose and you buy more hubs, you can also control that down to like the appliance level. But now you're all in whatever that dingling Emporia, I think the company is Emporia VUE. You're in their system then. I mean, apart from Lutron Caseta, everything else in the world is garbage. Like, I don't, but like, so I looked into these plugs and I was asking the dingus, like, I like my Eve Energy and it's cool enough. I wish all the data would update without me needing to, you know, go manually update it. But I find it very valuable to have stuff like, you know, years of data about all kinds of things. I think it's neat. But I bought these a company called Shelly. Shelly. Yeah, and I think somebody contacted me who listens to stuff. Hi, Shelly, friend. And their stuff's, the hardware is pretty good, and the software is really trying. But the software really looks like it's from 2009. It's very what's his name? Scott Forstall. It looks very much like you're controlling your plugs through like some kind of a bound photo book or something. It's got that weird old, everything's got a curve to it and a bezel or a bevel. Anyways, they're all out there and they all do stuff. This is so boring. I'm sorry. I talk too much. I got up early and I had medicine. I'm sorry. Maybe I should talk about it in the after show.
Actually,
you should see what I did this weekend. That's really cool. This is not going to mean a lot to other people, but it means a lot to me. Let me go. I'll just send this to you. Maybe we could talk about it if you think it's interesting. But in the repo for this, I was able, with my friend, the way I spent Saturday was very productive. And this is going to sound random because it's absolutely random. But I've been thinking about things I would like to do with a project of mine, including making it more, if you like, publishable in one way or another. And I knew a couple things. One is that whatever I eventually publish this project with, I want to use these fancy fonts that I bought from a guy called Matthew Butterick, who's my favorite font designer almost. Well, he's up there. He's definitely up there. He's a typography lawyer who also makes beautiful typefaces. And one day I had a bad day and I bought all his typefaces. Shut up. And I've been looking for a place to use them. So what? But what I was
hold on.
No, they were costly, Alex. They were costly.
Yeah, because we.
Okay, all right. Please don't make me look bad. Please don't make me look bad. I want to get by it fast. Please don't make me look bad.
Oh no, I would like to put this in notes because you supported an amazing artist, and I also want to see the fonts. I don't know then
It's not
why
helping
you're
with the people who
going
see
fast.
three figures for fonts and think. So anyhow, I knew I wanted to
What? I didn't say anything.
I knew I wanted
Just
to
made it twice.
utilize these fonts. I've been looking for a place to use Valkyrie. I've been looking for a way to use the Super one. I've been looking for a way to use Concourse. I've been really wanting to use these typefaces. But while I was at it, I was also thinking, hey, I should update my marked style sheets to like have those, because I've noodled around myself to get it to fake like an okay good Butterick style sheet. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to figure out using, I had ChatGPT generate a multi-markdown file. I said I wanted a multi-markdown file that uses every, extension and functionality of multi-markdown, because I'm going to use this to like test style sheets. And it made me a really nice, like a specimen, and then I started making style sheets, and I said, here's marked, like this is what the marked starter spreadsheet looks like, or style sheet looks like. Give me one of these with these typefaces. Worked a treat. Works great. That works great in marked. But then what I was also doing was I also wanted to incorporate a combination of my Zotero bibliography with Pandoc citations. So,
Oh boy.
So that, because it matters to me, like when a lot of my main workflow these days, I've turned off Instapaper at this point because it was, I don't know, whatever. I just send stuff right to Reader. That's all in Reader. That's cool. I can find stuff in that pile if I need to. It's not the easiest thing in the world. But if it's a book that I know I'm going to want to cite, or if it's a book that's in my collection that's important, I always put that in Zotero. And I've got a Zotero account. It syncs. I use the Zotero, is a bibliography. It's one of your options for creating bibliographies, and it plays nice with a ton of stuff, including lots of different standards, including LaTeX and whatever you want to do. So the thing is, like, I'm on a page, I'm just looking at something, and I hit the extension in Safari, and that gets added to Zotero. If Zotero's not open, it sends it to Zotero via the web, which I think is kind of cool. And then I got all my stuff in the Zotero database. You can have subsets of those. That's really cool. And so by the end of the day, Saturday, I think it was Saturday, what I was able to do was I created a specimen of, I basically figured out how to do this Pandoc citations thing to get an updated bibliography for whatever it is that I'm working on, because I like bibliographies. Everything's in proper MLA9. It's all formatted, and it all looks great with these beautiful Matthew Butterick fonts. So did I publish a book? No, I did not. But like, I got over the hurdle on several technical things in a way that was extremely satisfying to my ADHD. I'll send you a link. Anyway, isn't stuff like that kind of cool? That you can just
Not
do
kind
that?
of cool. It's extremely cool, even though I still can't find where these fonts are.
Put this in notes if
But
you want, but if you click on that, I'll show you something.
The what I keep someone I think in good faith the other day asked me, because I'm doing a lot with LLMs stuff, obviously. People listen to this like, but why didn't you just learn how to code? And I'm like, bro, come on, like that. It's such a that's such a common question.
You can
but
understand why somebody would
now-
say that. Yes.
So like, I'm not putting this well because I don't have sleep, but like that is a common question that like
I agree.
you would ask
I think it is a common question that's not a particularly thoughtful question, but I do understand why people who program for a living ask it.
But no, this person doesn't. Also, this person knows that I am a nerd, and I'm like, dude, my brain.
Well, let me ask you a different question. I'm really hungry today. I think I'll go get a hot dog. Well, if you really wanted a hot dog, why didn't you become a farmer, work in a slaughterhouse, and then learn how to produce hot dogs? And it's like, well, I haven't, because I have to eat different foods at a lot of times, and I don't want to commit my life to having to go make one dish that I want a couple times a year. That's ridiculous, but that's when people say that, I'm like, because you can put "why don't you just" in front of anything if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What if I don't want programming today? What if I want a hot dog? Or what if I want to know how to do this thing that I don't ever need to know again? Why would I go spend a year learning how to code something that I'm only going to use once? It's so short. That part is so short-sighted to me.
I think I'm struggling to put this well because I love computers so much. If I could have made hot dogs, I would. I tried very hard in middle school and then in high school to
give yourself an ulcer when you were a child.
I could only get so far with Objective C, and I'm like, I know that this will not make me happy, and that I like automating.
Oh yeah, and then so you pick up the phone, you call that person a year from now, and so, hey, just so you know, person who doesn't know me and doesn't really care about my life, I learned to code. We good?
That's
fucking ridiculous.
But I think people are being unintentionally hurtful, and
I totally
it still
agree.
feels
They're being unintentionally
weird
privileged, is what they're being. Let's say it.
Why
don't you learn? Why don't you learn every detail of the thing that I decided to care about? Because that really underscores how important I am.
Yes, I'm like, I just, gosh, I feel. Oh God, I'm gonna say I feel so empowered lately and feel less. When I say less alone, it's not because I'm talking to the chatbot. It's because
I'm sorry. I do know. It's not going to help when you say that, but I totally agree with you.
It's like
I don't need a friend. I need somebody who's better than me at stuff I don't know about.
And
if they're better than me at stuff I don't know about, even if they're not perfect, guess what? They're still better than me. And I can still, because I am a grown-ass man, I can still go out and check stuff that's important. But like, if you go look at this directory I'm about to show you, like I probably could have come up with a lot of this on my own with Googling, but I don't think I would have gotten this far along so quickly and made it so integrated into what I'm doing if I was just hacking around and forgot how I did it later.
Hello.
Okay, now here's the thing. No, don't just start clicking around. Follow me, okay?
Okay. No, I'm looking at the beautiful structure. Please.
It's not. It's just all random. But go to third to the last MMD style demo.
Hold on. Yes.
On your phone.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
Okay. Now that's the document that it produced for me. You can see I tweaked it a little bit with some of Stalgetty. But like that's the document that it created for me to be able to test my style sheets. And if you scroll down past the Stalgetty and you go to the bottom, look at that là-bas. Sorry, you studied French. You go down to the bottom and look at that. A list of citations. That's kind of cool. Where'd that come from, right? And they're all fancy MLA. We'll go back to where we were before and click on
the MLA.
No,
Oh, this is cool.
Well, do references.bib, and there you'll see cool. That is the output of Zotero. Where I tell Zotero to output the one I use is a plugin called Better. I'm sorry, the names all look the same to me. Is it Bibliotex?
I don't know.
But it's LaTeX meets bibliographies, or as you say, latex. And in this case, look at that. Look at that. It's all my citations in like a JSON-y, not JSON, but in a structured format. That's all pretty cool. 2 more. Then click on demo.pdf. And you can see this was my first attempt to get something set in one of those typefaces I like, which I really think looks like a beautiful book from the 50s. That's a Butterick typeface.
This is an audio program.
So this is the one called Demo. And isn't that pretty?
This is... Okay,
and then finally, this is my last thing.
I really like this.
And this is good. This is the part where everybody gets mad if they know how I did this. Click on howto.md. See if you can figure out how I got
first
this.
One.
See if you can figure out how I got that.
Okay,
so it's called Pandoc to Zotero to XE LaTeX to MLA9 with
I think it's Zelate. Yes.
Zelate. It's the subhead, the deck, a complete reproducible workflow for font styles and troubleshooting. This document shows you how to collect and verify book data in Zotero in an MLA-ish style, my word, export a stable.bib through Better BibTeX, Wire Pandoc and SiteProc plus MLA CSL styling together. Produce a clean works site. It use equity as the text face. Diagnose common. And then just start scrolling down. And guess what this is? Can you guess?
Better documentation.
Can you guess how? Can you guess how this got made?
Your
please,
assistant.
in great detail, please document everything that we accomplished today, and please present it in a way that somebody of my intelligence level could pick this up, knowing nothing about it, and be able to reproduce it. And you know who that person is, Alex? It's me.
Did it induce AI psychosis?
It's me because I want to be able to know how I did this. I don't know what happened, but like I had it spit this out for me. If somebody else wanted to do it, well, I guess you could do it. Good luck, have fun. But like this is for me because like I spent so long in. And it was great. It was a wonderful day. I had a great day. It was very fun. It really, it's a puzzle piece that fit my brain for that day. But like, by the end of it, I had all this stuff going. I had ChatGPT, Prompt, BBEdit, and Notes all open. Oh, the other thing I was going to say in Notes, the writing thing, I don't use any of the AI writing stuff. But one thing you might want to do is just put a bunch of bullshit into a note and then ask it to organize it for you. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Yeah.
That's the thing I was going to suggest. But this is the result of like, great success. Like I did all this stuff and it would tell me like, here's the thing. Let's go check to see if this worked. And I would say it generated an error. I'd select that line in Prompt and say, go look in Prompt. And it would say, well, here's what that means and how to change that. And sometimes I would yell at it and I would say, stop giving me the same bad advice over and over. But, I mean, like, again, this is not something that anybody could look at and go, oh, Merlin has a future in any of these fields. Why don't you just learn everything that's involved in this? Why don't you just learn everything that's involved in, yes. Why don't you learn LaTeX from LaBottom, or LaBa, as we say? Listen, here they come. What? Wait, where are they? Yeah, you can hear. Oh, they're so cute.
Hello.
That's a big one.
Oh.
It always brightens my day.
A big child or a big noise?
But this touches a bunch of stuff. I mean, is this going to help the Wisdom Project get quote unquote done? Well, it'll never be done. That's the point. But this touches a bunch of stuff that matters to me. Whatever I make out of this, I would eventually like for it to look good. I would like to find more ways to start integrating. When I say bibliography, that sounds weird, but I want to
hold up. Why? That's a
well. I'm not an author who like needs to have a works cited list, but I think it's kind of cool to have a way to know what something is called and have a record of it, and to be able to share that with somebody so that they could find it. But like,
I think that people, well. An example, some of your favorite YouTube people, they provide great, not just works cited, but sometimes fully formatted bibliographies, and it's cool. And
it is. I think it's cool, and I love lists. But like,
there's so many weird things about you, Merlin. This one's.
But if you gloss over, like, if you just gloss over like all the parts that this touches, like I used to do CSS. I don't say this with any pride because I wasn't good at it, but I did that professionally. I was a web developer. Like I made my bones like with the Zeldman book, and XML and like all of that stuff. Like I
read the fucking Zeldman book and I still couldn't do it, guys.
Here's the thing though, like that's a real skill. And like if I needed like military grade CSS title, I would hire a military grade CSS author, and I might hire a different person to do the JavaScript, and a different person. But like this touches LaTeX and Mathy stuff. This touches Pandoc. This touches like, let alone all of like just getting all this stuff installed, and like that's easy enough, installing it with Homebrew or whatever. But like I know just enough to keep each of these things in motion, but I certainly don't know enough to do it all on my own. I don't know exactly how to deploy which font, like, do I use the WAF or the OTF or the what, which one of these do you use in these different circumstances? And like, it's neat though, because it touches on a lot of my interests without exhausting all of my resources.
Oh, that is a very good succinct way to put it. Oh, that's
Less tech then?
I'm trying to. Yeah, yes. Well, it doesn't have to be the last,
please.
but yes.
It sounds like you didn't sleep much, but like it sounds like you're having a tough time, like you're feeling a little frustrated with
I
expectations.
get emotional about
I
just
understand.
the. It again feels weird to say the word ableism because I do think it is overused and weaponized in
It's being a
just
dick.
bad faith. Yeah,
It's being insensitive
It's
to
being-
to that other people are different from you. Other people have different skills and interests and resources than you do, and other people have made different decisions than you, and none of that stuff makes either of you bad unless you try to turn it into something where one of you has to be bad, which is, I'm finding, not a particularly fruitful direction in the discourse. Dinglings talking about dinglings.
Something Kathy and I talked about, and then I always edit it out of Robosm because I get afraid of getting in trouble. But the thing is, when I why don't you just use Google? I have just been using Google.
I've just been using Google since
Google
2001.
existed, and but so much of the stuff someone like me wants, like really niche queer stuff or really niche health stuff. SEO is not exactly pushing that to the top. It is difficult to find.
God, even for stuff that
so
seems really
much-
straightforward, it's getting pretty hard.
And fine, get rid of the trans stuff. The orphan diseases are a thing people are learning about that I did not know about until the past couple of years. People don't know
That's
when
diseases where both parents died?
the. Yeah, there was a. It's when you come out of the.
You know what Oscar
theater.
Wilde says? What's the line? Losing one parent is a tragedy, but losing both feels like carelessness. He's so annoying. Go ahead.
What a bitch. If Google sucks now. It has sucked for a while, but it's also been difficult even.
It's funny though that there's all these people that we like and admire, and they're like, why do you use that terrible thing? Why don't you just use Google? And you're like,
because HRT Cafe keeps being taken down, and you need to fucking go.
But is your
through
experience
a
of Google just vastly better than mine lately? Why are you so gay bones for Google over other options? And aren't you applying a lot of the same critical skills to Google results that you would want to apply to the thing of mine that you don't like?
I understand you knew about SEO and were able to make your website visible on Google a decade ago, but there are things on the internet from a decade ago that really smart, talented people put there, and there was no incentive for anybody to see it because obviously. And
You're talking about back in the day when
finding queer zines from the 90s, you can still do it, not through Google. And the web is dead. The way. No, I have been more successful in finding a thing, and I'm not saying that this is how you should use LLMs, but I have been so much more successful in finding things and finding people, and I know other folks who found community, not talking to it, but just
yep.
being able to do research in something society doesn't put value on. That is phenomenal. It makes me so happy. It makes a lot of people happy, and I don't know. At this point, why? If I think people are, I don't know if people are being intentionally hurtful anymore, and I don't want to think that.
So. Also, people are lonely, and so we're all lonely. And one way to find community is agreeing who the folk demon is. And this is who our folk demon is now, and we're on the wrong side of history for now.
I'm
that's kind of. I don't you think that's kind of what it is? I mean, we're like people who vape.
Yes, it is, and I don't get why you don't.
You
see
can
that
get it if you
panic.
try. You can get it if you try. You won't like it, but you'll get it.
Well, the thing is, well, what I get
Money and
is
fear.
that you are doing you are being just going about a reactionary playbook that you know is wrong, that you've seen how it plays out.
You've had
You
people do
don't need
it.
to
All those
suck-
people have had people do this to them and they hated it.
Yeah.
All these people who are now like very comfortable in this field of technology where they're able to like buy shoes for their kids because they know about computers, like they have a very short memory for the time when they were considered a lot of us
A loser and
well,
a creep.
outsiders, like in the out group in some ways.
An ugly loser and a creep who was lonely on their computer. You fucking freaks. Hey, there are still people like
Yeah.
I,
Not done being lonely.
that was what I was saying. What I said was unkind, and
To whom? You spoke in general. Now somebody's going to take that personally, but you can't change that.
You
You can also have your Zotero. You can have your Zotero upload to Calibre.
The what?
You can have your you can have
Actually-
your Calibre suck down all your Zotero.
I
cool is
did
that?
know that because you talked about it like a decade ago, and that's the only thing that I've used Zotero for.
Well, there's also that
in
really
a
good
while.
website. If you prefer, if you don't want an app, there's a really good website. It's like Biblio something. But can I tell you my last tech thing?
Biblio something. One thing, if I just said a thing that made you feel sad, I didn't mean to, and I never want anyone to feel lonely and like a fucking weirdo creep on a computer. If you're just trying and being happy, all right, I'm off my soapbox.
Yeah,
Please
but
tell
like,
me about another
but like,
computer thing.
to your, ironically, in your defense, is like, there's nobody today that feels like they're playing offense. Everybody that I see day to day feels like they are really trying on defense for a lot of reasons. And that's a sports analogy, just so you know. But like, I guess it could be a war analogy, but that's not how I roll. But like, I think almost everybody who's being a piece of shit, they think they have their reasons, and they feel like they're just trying to defend something. And sometimes that the thing that they're defending is, I mean, it's a very often extremely laudable goal. Like you think you're defending truth. Like the idea of truth in the midst of all these times with fake news and blah, blah, blah. The last thing we need is something that's generating things that aren't pure truth. I don't agree with that straw man I just made up, obviously, but I do. I think I absolutely understand it. And I don't think that's a bad person who thinks that. I think you're a bad person if you exclude the experiences of other people and trying to evaluate whether they're as good as you. And y'all need to fucking knock it off because it's a shitty look. Everybody you hate has been doing that for years, and now you're joining in because you think it's time for you to defend yourself. And like, just don't be a piece of shit about something that you don't really need to be a piece of shit about. That's kind of what it comes down to. I feel like.
It makes me sad, but a couple of friends told me that it makes them really scared, and I'm like, God,
Well, AI
people
stuff?
I used to
The LLM
respect.
stuff?
Oh, the no, the reaction of allies and people on the left, like we must defend truth, and these these water dump
They have
machines.
no idea. They have no idea
And
what they sound like. They have no idea how they sound when they say that.
And like it's scary thinking like this.
Because when you say things like that, you're probably closer, folks. You're probably
You
closer.
sound like a reactionary.
well,
like
you're closer than you realize to saying you're not a real boy.
yeah, and
You're closer than you realize when you've decided that you have an exclusive contract with the truth that you're defending. Well, thanks. First of all, thanks a lot for defending the truth. That's really cool of you to do that. But that's the kind of thing like a school shooter would want to do when they're 12. Like you're a grown person.
Yep.
You're a grown person, and like if you don't have the social skills and the amount of contact with people who aren't like you, it's going to be difficult for you to realize that your attempts to make it with your in-group can also make you into perhaps I'm trying to put this gently, could turn you into a person you never meant to be. And when you tell other people that what they're doing is wrong and that they don't understand what the truth is and don't honor the truth in a way that you do, you don't sound that different from a lot of people a few channels over.
And I think worse, I mean, you might sound like a dick, but also to frighten the people you're putting our fucking flag on your website.
The people you're white
like,
knighting
come
for.
on.
But the people you're white knighting for, right?
Yeah, but it's worse than that. It's like no one. Yeah, I guess just white knighting. I don't like. I just hope the past, like all of the the everything from the past like week. I hope folks notice that like all of the manipulations of truth, it didn't exactly come like the boogeyman wasn't a computer. And
that's a really, I see what you're saying. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Like the only part I think that so far generative AI has played in the many American tragedies we experience every day is really bad meme images, and that really.
Are you talking about slop?
Really sucks.
They call it slop.
The slop.
That's what people call it. They call it slop.
The
slop.
Just very upsetting images.
But everybody, it's like farts and poems. Like everybody loves their own and hates everybody else, secretly hates everybody else's. But
they're not being secretive about it. Anyone.
As long as I have you here, friends, ask yourself how many things. Is there anything that you're positive was true a year ago or 5 years ago that you've been open to changing your mind about and might have even changed your mind about? And maybe in one or two cases, you've completely flipped your belief on something to like, oh, there's this thing I used to think was the truth. And sometimes you can even look back on it and go, oh, I thought that was the truth because I was raised in Ohio, or I went to school in Florida, or my friend's a hippie, or like I believed those things. Well, I'm avoiding saying the really mean thing, which is, when's the last time that you rejected one of your own truths because you learned a better truth or a truer truth? Because if you haven't done that in the last year, you're probably full of shit. Because that's what happens. If you really are seeking something called the truth, well, that's a journey, not a destination. You don't arrive at truth. If you think you've arrived at truth, well, tell me where you want to go for your 15th birthday. Like, that is not something that a grown person says if they're thinking rationally. And it's certainly not something that a well-rounded, well-read, well-learned person says. It's to just make announcements about what other people are doing wrong because they're hurting the truth. And it's like, whatever. I understand. Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit out there and it really sucks. And it's not my day to watch it. Like, I can't control any of that. But like all of this friendly fire that is visited upon the people that you theoretically like, or that you have in your community, it's often so unnecessary. And I wonder if in a year or so, some of us will look back on that with the same kind of confidence that we have today, because we always knew what was true. I've always been right. Everybody else has always been wrong. Whatever it is that I believe today is right and true, and what other people believe can be wrong and can be the opposite of the truth. Well, why is that? Why is that my truth is so much more special than this other person's truth? Well, there's only one truth, and that's the truth. I get it. Do you want to go to Farrell's for your 11th birthday? You're a grown person. Everybody believes what they believe. And in some cases, they believe their bullshit a lot more than you believe your bullshit. Does that make your bullshit less bullshit, or vice versa? I don't have an opinion on that, but like, when you try to piss from the high ground about what other people are doing wrong to build up the carapace around yourself, to like develop your own little turtle shell and be invulnerable, like, you mainly just come off sounding like a very old, angry person.
I would hope that people think about what they're certain of in life and what they've always been certain of, and just make a list, guys, and it'll probably be short, and it's scary. And I was certain until I was 18 years old that abortion was murder. I know that this sounds like I'm fucking extra. Until I was 18 years old, I thought I was going to hell because of the people I was attracted to. Like, fully just nothing could convince me otherwise. And
in your certainty about how you felt, or how you are, if you like.
That's the thing.
But your certainty about that also, like, that just makes those train cars clamp together, because you're just as certain about what you've learned for the previous part of your life. Whether you love every part of it or not, you definitely know the rules, and you've broken the rules with how you are.
But I wasn't. That's the thing. I wasn't certain about how
you were breaking
I felt.
Rules in your
that
heart,
was my truth.
like Jimmy Carter.
It was the. I'm having a crisis of confidence.
Put on a sweater.
I'd just say that now.
Jimmy Carter said. He quit the Navy. He quit a promising career in the Navy when his father died. He was one of the leading nuclear engineers, or as you say, nuclear engineers in the Navy in the early 50s, right? He'd come out of the Naval Academy. He was one of the leading submarine nuclear engineers. And it gets confusing, because a lot of people say nuclear submarine. You think that means a submarine that has nuclear weapons. Generally, what that means is it's a sub that runs on nuclear power, so it doesn't have to come up as often. That's the whole thing. But yeah, his father died. So you hear these stories. Oh, Jimmy Carter, peanut farmer, because he's so fucking stupid and simple. Yeah, except he graduated from Annapolis, was an engineer, was one of the most promising careers in the Navy for a person of his age, and he resigned his commission because he needed to come home after his father died, and he felt that he needed to, let's put it a different way, let's put it the real way, he needed to attend to the unfinished business in his father's life, which included his father's businesses. And one of those businesses happened to be a peanut farm that he owned. So when we say shit like, Jimmy Carter, fucking peanut farmer, that's another one of those things. That's another thing you're like, yeah, read a fucking book. Like, like, all I wanted to say, and then I want to talk about music, but all I wanted to say was, we did a very good Rec Diffs last night, followed by a member segment that I'm so happy about. I've persuaded John to let me release it as the whole, put it all out as one episode next week. So I have a lot of work to do on that. But one of the things we talked about, among other things, was Stephen King and his book On Writing, which is a book that I love, and which audiobook that I love. And I did the dorkiest, gayest hat on a hat thing in the world, and I read him the segment that Stephen King reads from Cormac McCarthy's book, Blood Meridian, and we got talking about it. I'll send you a copy. Remind me.
Thank you.
Please, yeah, please remind me. But here's my point. Is like, so I'm like, okay, scanning. And listen, I bought this. I've got hard copies. I've got copies, okay? I've got a hard copy of On Writing. I bought the audiobook.
Anyone mad about that is gone.
But it's on Audible. So I went and I got my own copy of the audiobook because I wanted to find that and send it. I sent that to 3 people today. I don't know if I sent it to you. Did I send it to you? I sent it to Billy and I sent it to Syracusa because I said to Billy, hey, just if you're curious, you could upload this to your Overcast and listen to it if you don't, if you want something to listen to when you're not reading that book. And because I've persuaded him to take a look at that book. And and I wanted to send that to Syracusa. So you know what I did? I downloaded the MP3. It's like 7 hours and 58 minutes. And again, what are my options? Well, I have options. I could go and search by word in the book app. I could go and like grep it in prompt. But I thought, it's even better. Here's a fun thing that lets me learn new things. I took that MP3, low res piece of shit, audiobook MP3, and I dropped it onto Mac Whisper, and it transcribed 8 hours of speech in just over 3 minutes.
Jesus fucking Christ! What the?
Can you imagine? Can you even imagine that? And it's pretty good. It's like pretty good, and it even got speakers. Like it got that this is Steve. Well, it didn't say Stephen King, but it would say like, there's 3 speakers in this. There's one speaker who speaks a lot. There's a speaker at the beginning and the end because it's an audiobook. But yeah, that was about 3 minutes. And then just to make sure it wasn't, as Lockpicking Lawyer says, to show it wasn't a fluke, I did it again and timed it and looked at the logs, and it's around 3 minutes for an 8-hour audio file.
All right, to be computer is this an M4? What the? I'm on M1 Mac. I know that there's
I don't
problems with
precisely
it,
know
I'm
what any
just
of that means,
curious.
but I will tell you everything I can. I will open Mac Whisper, and then we'll talk about music. My computer is a Mac Studio from 2022. I have an
Okay.
Apple M1 Ultra from
Oh,
2022.
okay.
So I mean, that doesn't mean a ton to me. I make at the point where I'm
won't-
about to start crying. I realize I've spent enough, and that's the one I got.
The
And I'm using Parakeet V3.
unfortunately that does.
I know.
It is wild how Apple Silicon works because Parakeet basically freaks out on an M1 MacBook Pro MacBook Pro M1 Max, and that was like the
names are so bad.
What? Well,
No, it's not you. It's just the name. The names, like when they're talking about an ATP, like, yeah, it's funny because it's true. Like, it's fucking insane that they make a computer called Mac, the plural of which is Macs, and then they also have computers things and phone things that are called Macs, but it's spelled different. And I'm not from Long Island, but like I pronounce this pretty much the same way.
The Mac, the Maximum Mac.
That's what Mac's got.
It's not even. You can't even make a
no
joke.
joke.
It's too.
So it's an M1, so it's an early M series, and at kind of the middle range. So it
Oh no, it is. It was the highest at the time. There was M1. Sorry, there was no Ultra. So it is bonkers great still at this was the broken. Well, Touch ID still doesn't work. But it's still incredibly fast with any sort of editing and processing of compression.
It's really a different world.
But,
It's like OS 10 versus 9, where you're like, oh man, this is really a different world in so many ways.
but huge asterisk. Apple, an M2 MacBook Air. Maddie has the base model M2 MacBook, maybe like one up of RAM. It can transcribe most stuff faster. And
That's just all black arts to me.
wild.
I don't understand any of that stuff.
I
I don't know what any of those words mean. I don't know what the cores mean. It doesn't particularly interest me. And like,
here is
no.
why
I just meant in the sense of like, this just makes my eyes glaze over because I'm like, if you ask me a question about any of that, like think about like the kind of stuff where you can say like, oh, should I watch this show or that show? I feel pretty qualified to voir dire you in a way where I could, to a person where I could say which one of those I think is better for you. But all of those words you just said, I mean, I know about the M series. I know there's R's and there's I guess there's A's. And John's Mac Pro is now less powerful than an iPhone.
Yes, yes, that's what is. Yeah, honestly, that is
Single thread.
You put it. Single thread. That's kind of all.
Like an animal.
That's what this. I know that's not how he said it, but it.
Oh, you're talking about the original? I mean, he said it. He said it pretty close to that because he's talking about the TiVo. Because he kind of did. He did it a little bit more Godfather like an animal. I can't do it. No, I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I thought it was a little bit. Yeah, it was like a little bit Squidwardy but with the threatening mob tone. I'm
Fat Tony.
thinking of like the TiVo from Hypercritical, right?
Peanut remote. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the greats.
I might have gotten the wrong guy. Something I transcribed actually.
No, he did do a book on
Hypercare.
Ben Franklin. So.
Oh, and
Do you know how many interviews Robert Moses and Robert Caro had together?
two.
A lot fewer. Then he kicked him out of his office. He made him look at a map, look out a window, and kicked him out. And he said, "We're done here.
It's
Now you buy me lunch." He said,
did you
"Buy me
hear-
lunch. I'm
did
going to eat in my car. I'm
you-
going to eat in my car. Buy me lunch. I love my car."
Did you listen to the Robert Caro book on writing? It's not called On Writing, but it is a
No, I've got
short-
the ebook of that, but I haven't read it yet. I did watch the documentary about him and his editor one time.
Oh,
That's really good.
Robert
Robert Caro had the same editor
documentary
for a really long
editor.
time. And they have a very special relationship. And that guy's a really big deal in the world of editing. Like, Robert Caro is a big deal in the world of, history and biography, but his editor is really big in the world of editing. One of those behind the scenes kind of people.
We have linked to this twice before, and I still haven't seen it. That's how I know that I should really go see something. Thank you.
Sure.
Basis.
You've seen Weapons? Krager!
Oh,
Shawnee!
Place. It took 20 hours to download the
4K.
file you sent me, and it was worth every.
Oh, good. I'm glad it worked out okay. I'm sorry it took so long.
No. I was
Looks
like,
pretty good,
this
though, huh?
is. Oh my God!
Those opening
happy.
sequences with the kids on the streets. I'll always remember the rain, like the like shiny streets.
Oh
Woof.
my God! Yes, and
That was Amy Madigan. That was fucking. You're not going to know Amy Madigan because you're not old enough to know. But Madge Gladys. Something like that. The aunt.
Correct. Yes.
Oh my God, she's like an actress. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, this is one of those crazy roles. This is one of those like you've got to be fucking kidding me. Where like once Madeline told me, I was like, oh, well, of course I see it in her eyes, but.
The first time I saw her on screen, it was just
in a dream.
Wait, I should say the first time
when she comes in the office, you mean?
The first time I realized I had seen her on screen, I was like, oh.
No, I hate that. Oh my God. I don't like the dreams. I really don't like the dreams.
I spent like 20 minutes thinking, what's a good challenge involving weapons? Because I just want Merlin to talk about weapons for as long as he wants.
I want to spread the gospel on this. I want to get the word out. Krager!
Yeah, it's.
What are you doing this weekend? Oh, I got a Krager kicker. I'm gonna do a Craig stand.
I think that's a joke that he would make, or at least Trevor Moore would make.
I just like his work. I don't need to be his friend.
I don't know if he'd want to be your friend.
That's the point,
think the PCP?
Probably pretty busy.
Did you see the? Did you ever watch the PCP sketch from Whitest Kids You Know?
Nope.
All right. Well,
is it about Donald Trump?
You know what? I'm not.
I'm sure it's very funny. I like to laugh. I like comedy.
Mm-hmm. Love to laugh. Do you want to
laugh
talk
more
about...
than you?
That's not true.
Oh well, I mean, I laugh legitimately more than you.
You
giggle nervously more than I do. You often don't understand what you're laughing at, which I think is one reason people love you.
Yes, but I don't try to hide that when
the not knowing or the laughing. Do you even have a way of knowing? Okay, good.
No. I see this. I'm not going to hide the nervous laughter of what I'm not sure. That I'm like, wait.
My problem now.
Wait. Did I?
It's been an hour and 37 minutes. Challenge this week is was it find live music you like? What do you call the challenge?
I called it share your favorite live performances.
Okay.
I think is how I worded it. And then I believe I texted you, or however you want to. Oh,
well, no, I was mainly asking for the voiceover part.
I just wanted to ask you. Well, I
started because I told you I have this
week.
list I made on YouTube because I'm
Yes.
always going on, I'm always talking about music. And I realized at one point that I think this is how it kind of started, was I realized at some point that like I'm forever trying to get somebody to look at me for a minute and like pay attention to something that's not other things. And like, hey, check this out. Like this performance of A Quick One by The Who, from Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, circa 1968. I think it's one of the greatest rock performances of all time. I think Talking Heads live in Rome in 1980, the entire show, is one of the greatest rock performances of all time. and then like I started thinking like, wait a minute, actually I've got a lot of these. And what's funny is like it still keeps occurring to me that there's other ones I don't want to say should, but certainly could put on the list. It didn't occur to me till this morning when I was listening to Queen and singing Queen songs. I don't have any Queen on that list, which is crazy. But yeah, the idea was Merlin's Gay Bones for Music, and these are a bunch of live performances that he thinks are good. And then I think part of the interest you wanted to talk about like what it is that makes for a good live performance.
Yes, I thought that this would be easy because I'm like, I have a lot of live performances of not just music, or rather, I thought from your playlist, like, yes, music, this will be easy. And I do have a list of some of my favorites, but I started to be like, why exactly are these... Why do I like these?
What makes
because
these memorable to me, or what makes these special to me, right?
Yeah, and for most other forms of, I guess, art, or like the more I thought about it, most other performances, I can kind of talk about in some semblance of a coherent way, bailing out. I know why I like it. And for this, I'm just all over the place, and the only thing I can, so like probably my favorite band, Ludo, a small like pop, indie pop band from St. Louis. They. I don't know. They were like really formative high school year, obviously. But they now do one performance once a year on Halloween.
That's special.
And I was going back in 2022, the Ludoween concert where they played all of Broken Bride, which is their rock opera, and then an entire second concert of like their normal stuff. One of the best things I've ever seen.
A Fish kind of event.
It was.
Fish does stuff like that. Fish will play like the whole album or something like that for like New Year's Eve. Making it like an event.
Yes. Yeah. And
they'll
that's
cover a whole album or something, I think. They're a really good band.
Yeah. And that's been kind of but here's why it felt different. That's kind of been like another Midwestern emo trend lately, of as the 10, 15, 20 year anniversaries of a lot of formative albums like Jimmy Eat World's Clarity, they'll come and play the whole album, which is usually pretty good.
Yeah, because and like you can like kind of like Cheap Trick did that. I think Weezer's done that, where you can like sort of like, I hate to say sell it, but you can sell it as like, hey, that album you loved when you were 15, we're going to play it all the way through.
Yeah, and it is. So here's what I started, like, I'm going through my list, and most of my favorite concerts, whether it be, performances, whether it be something I took on my iPhone illegally at the Metro in Chicago 20 years ago, or a Green Day Stadium concert, and from Chapel Roan just earlier this year at Lollapalooza, all of those people aren't just having fun, but they are putting on a show the same in a... When I say theatrical, I mean they are like putting...
Spectacle, right?
I don't even want to say it like that, because yes, there is a lot of spectacle to the stuff I enjoy, like I love the weird burlesque stuff that, Panic at the Disco, and that My Chemical Romance do. Like, love the weird ass pageantry stuff, but they all I love when they put so much care into a set list. Even when it's something like really, like if it's a basement show, and like even some of the basement shows I've been to, it's you can tell when someone has really thought of their as we've talked about, but not exactly the same thing. They're on stage versus they're off stage of like,
yeah.
hey, we are, yes, thank you. Like, okay, I am drinking a PBR, and now I am like across the threshold of gaff tape, and I am I'm showing you something special that I made, and I'm not saying that like hanging out and like playing songs from your friend. I'm chicken problem thing. I'm sorry. This is my personal opinion of the things I like is when someone puts together something that they really care about and you can and it's successful. I know that doesn't sound like that sounds obvious, but I didn't realize
I think it's
how
good. I mean,
far...
I'm often saying that even with my dumb playlists is like, hey, here's the thing I made for you. And a band can do that too. They're like, hey, here's a special thing I made just for you.
Yeah, and I literally
I really want you to. I hope you will like it.
Yeah, I literally found a performance from a my high school talent show that my friends did like a tiny little set, and they just put so much care into like how they transitioned between those 4 songs, and I'm like, damn, that was really special. And I remember it was a high school fucking talent show, and I remember the other bands that played. So that's all I got. And then I had a fun time watching in defense of Green Day. I've seen other than the Mountain Goats, because I only listen to the Mountain Goats, I think I've probably seen Ludo, Mountain Goats. I don't know. I've seen Green Day like five times, and they're the only like stadium sort of band, like band I've seen. But that is a full-on spectacle, and
they're probably so good at their material at this point, and all the stuff you're talking about, like set lists, all of that, like knowing what makes people happy. Like they're probably really on top of that, and I bet they're more grateful than they've ever been that it all is together.
Yeah, which is just wild. Like I was watching a video from 2004 of the American Idiot tour, and then they, there were other shows in between, and then they brought it back, and the production design that goes into this stuff, like I just think about what Taylor Swift has to do
I can't even
on
imagine.
a fucking and like, God, watching this 50-year-old man run back and across this huge stage like all for 2 hours, it was and now he has to sit down in the like revamped version, which I thought was like very sweet. Like there's a longer solo for the bassist so that he can sit and drink more. The front man can sit and drink more water. And I don't know, like, but it was just I like when there are acts to those stadium shows as well. And I don't know. Really appreciating Taylor Swift today now. That's all I got. I
think that's really good.
Had a good morning.
For my channel, just go look at my list, people. Like it's whatever. And because
I can't tell though. What to you makes these?
Okay, I don't. No, this is not directed at you. I don't think it's interesting or fruitful to intellectualize things like this, but I will do my best. I'm going to send you, this is the link to mine if you want to put it in notes. I thought about it a little bit. This is a part of my life that doesn't need intellectualization. It's fine the way it is. I mean, it's like overthinking an orgasm. Like if that makes it better for you, do it. But like whatever it is, like, there's just certain kinds of things that are special. And like, I don't think need to be turned into something that people who don't fucking care about it could be made to understand. Here's the things I think about. For the really obvious one, a live show. Sometimes just the band is tight. They're really like, they're a good band, and in the case of something like this, I don't even know how to describe this to somebody who's from outside of this community, but like this one on the list, the King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard performance of Iron Lung on KEXP is just, I can't even tell you how many literally like dozens of times I've watched it, like dozens and dozens of times. And it's a 10-minute song, because as somebody who used to play in a band, that I'm not saying that to like try and sound like a celebrity. I don't mean it that way. I mean, when I say playing in a band, I mean, I've been in school bands since elementary school. I've been in choir at church. Like when I was a kid, I was in choir. I learned to play guitar and I played in those kinds of bands. But more than anything else, I'm a fan of music. None of this would mean anything to me if I weren't a fan of music. But like having played in bands, the thing that's so special, the spark I want to pass on to somebody else who's played in a band is look at the shit these guys just pulled off here. Look at the incredible thing that they just did here. And like, there's some kinds of performances where the more you watch it, and again, this is just all into the ages of, hey, they're a good band. That's a tight show. But it's more like, look at it. There's one of these on this list, Bebop Deluxe, Made in Heaven, that song. It's pretty far down. It's right above B-52s. Something I've watched this one dozens of times too, and it may not be your cup of tea, but what I want you to notice, this song starts out with this very distinctive whammy bar flourish, a vibrato bar. It's like bow wow 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 bow bow. One gets it's a power trio, right? You got a guitar player, you got a bass player, you got a drummer. Bow wow 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 wow. A really inadvisably huge amount of whammy bar for 1975. And you can barely see it. You're going to have to watch it several times to catch it. But before the singing has even begun, the guitar player breaks a string. And what his guitar figures are fucking crazy. They're the basis of the song. Plus he's got to sing. And now on top of it all, he has to readjust his fingerings around the fact that one of his strings broke. And nobody would notice that. Like in a million years, you never notice that, right? Because he does a really good job with it. But like once you have noticed that, the Bill from Bebop Deluxe broke a string at the beginning of this song on like UK television. You're like, you can lock into this, like the rest of the song becomes even more miraculous. So that's one of the kinds of things where, and that gets us to the second thing. The first thing is like, yeah, it could be just like it's a really tight performance or an impassioned performance or whatever. But then the other one is like, what is it about this that makes this performance special? Which is really ineffable. It's really hard to put your finger on. Maybe it was just kind of like the right night. I'm going to de-intellectualize this a little bit. It helps a lot that it's music you like, or it's music that like thrills you or whatever. But sometimes you get to listen to a band at the height of their powers, and they don't know they're at the height of their powers. We know that because we've had 20, 30, 60 years to look back on something. But for my sensibilities, I like a lot of Talking Heads. But to me, Talking Heads in Rome, like touring around, like I think it was before their famous album, but it was like after Fear of Music. It's when they had done like there was like the E Zimbra era with Adrian Belew on guitar.
What year?
1980.
Okay.
Yes, it's on the list.
There we go. Yes.
And like they're one of my all-time favorite bands. I mean, I like stuff on Burning Down the House is on whatever that 82, 83 record is, Speaking in Tongues. I really like some stuff on Speaking in Tongues, and I really like some stuff after that. But up through Remain in Light is my stuff. Like particularly more songs about buildings and food through Remain in Light, but especially those Eno records and the ones that Adrian Belew, one of my favorite guitarists, played on. Adrian Belew is with them in Rome, playing live on this, doing the most. If you just listened to Adrian Belew, what the fuck is he doing on guitar? But then you're like, oh yeah, you know who that guy is? You might have heard something he did. It goes like this. Ba-dum. Bum, bum, ba-dum. If you've ever heard Genius of Love or the Mariah Carey song Fantasy, that's Adrian Belew. He's a rich man because he got sampled on Fantasy by Mariah Carey and didn't even realize it for years. But
Oh,
That's Adrian Belew. And you can go back and you can watch Adrian Belew with Bowie in the 70s. When he's talking about this young man from, Georgia or whatever. But seeing all those people together, and then you've also got Bernie Worrell from P-Funk is there. You've got, I'm sorry, it's escaping the name of the woman, African-American woman who's singing with them. But do you know Talking Heads much?
yeah, not that I would know the African American.
Oh no, but I mean, if you know like Zimbra,
yes.
like digga 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 digga, and it's like da 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 Zimbra, it's like that kind of stuff. And she sing along and fucking David Byrne. You ready for this? He's a really good guitar player. The thing is, like, when we think of good guitar players, we think of Eddie Van Halen, and I have him playing Unchained here. But when we think of guitar players, we think of like the spoodly doodly, like wanky, solos and stuff. And I love that stuff. I mean, absolutely, I love that stuff. But boy, few things are more satisfying than watching a good rhythm guitar player. And if you watch Talking Heads live in Rome in 1980, you're going to see 3 of the greatest living rhythm guitarists playing on stage together. David Byrne, Jerry Harrison, and Adrian Belew. And you're going to see all this other stuff too. So yeah, it's good. You like the song, whatever, blah. But it's also, and I'm not trying to make this like overly fucking magical, because like, I don't know if this version of Suffer for Fashion is technically of Montreal at the height of their powers. But did you watch that? Have you watched that Suffer for Fashion of Montreal show?
No.
Okay, so just watch that like out on break, for example. It's just an example though. Like, I just really like that song. A lot of people, you're not going to believe what you guys know of Montreal from, because it seems like a fever dream or a Berenstain Bear. But they had a song in an Outback Steakhouse commercial with lyrics that had been rewritten for Outback Steakhouse. But the other reason you might know of Montreal is their music is featured heavily in the wonderful documentary, The September Issue, about making Vogue magazine with Anna Wintour. But they're just a really fun queer band from the sort of Elephant Six stuff area. I mean, they're kind of like adjacent to Neutral Milk Hotel and stuff like that. And they were a big part of like their album. Their early couple albums where I imprinted on of Montreal were very much in the style of like Elephant Six. But like, just go and watch that. And like, first of all, it opens with this amazing drumming, like, and you're watching, and you're just like, oh my God, it's building. And just go look at the Asian guy singing backup. I want to be in this band. I just want to be in the energy of Montreal playing Suffer for Fashion. We suffer for fashion or whatever. I think that's another part of it. And then sometimes it's just shit, like it's just the best you've ever heard of this. This Lea Salonga is my favorite version of On My Own. Raul Esparza is my favorite version of Being Alive. This live version of fucking Common People, Pulp's Common People at Glastonbury is in 1995 is, I think, justifiably very famous. And then there's some shit like just fucking Rockpile. Just being the most amazing live rock, solid rock band you've ever seen. Foo Fighters playing on Letterman's last show. I just cry watching, because they play over the montage of David Letterman's career. They play Everlong over for like the 4th time on his show. Play it over a montage of Dave's career. And I grew up with Dave.
I've watched it so many times. Oh my God.
So I don't know. I don't have an intellectual basis for this, except like I may not know art, but I know what I like. But like sometimes you just like, oh, this one's a little bit special. I'll tell you another one. REM, that REM doing Harbor Coat. That is, to my taste, this is not a fact, it's an opinion. That is REM at the height of their powers. That is my REM at the height of their powers. What I like best about REM is on that stage when they're playing Harbor Coat, which is one of my favorite songs from my favorite REM album, when he had long hair and they were like still like my absolute favorite band. They crowded up to Lennon with their noses worn off. Handshake is worthy, but it's all that you've got. It's they crowded up to Lennon with their noses worn off. What a great way to begin your second album.
Oh my gosh.
But then you go and you listen to it and like, I don't know. So I don't want to over-intellectualize this. Broken Social Scene 7/4 Shoreline on Conan. This one goes on and off the internet sometimes, but like it's my favorite version of this song. And it's also just, frankly, just super fucking sexy because it's all these Canadian people playing amazing rock music in 7/4 time. But it's also got you got Leslie Feist, and you've got Metric's singer is named the blonde
Just
girl from
Google
Metric.
it.
No, I'm not going to Google it. Why don't you just? I know her name, but I just don't know it. The girl from Tremble, dun, 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 dun. So she
Oh,
did the
fuck.
Scott Pilgrim song. Emily.
Oh,
Emily.
no, yeah, you're right.
Anyways,
Emily Metric, yes.
They did all the song, a bunch of the not well. I mean, Beck did a bunch too, but they did like the that song that Envy Adams sings. That's Metric.
Yes.
Anyways, so that's the name of that tune. Sutton Foster performing Show Off. Very good. Oh my God, this version of Candy's Room, Bruce Springsteen. The last third of that song just peels the fucking paint. Jesus Christ, rock music's good.
Oh, yeah, that was really intellectual and not you just sharing the good parts of what you like of the song.
The way that
I
you
would have
express
never noticed the
encouragement-
rhythm guitar
Yeah,
part.
you express
and now I'm
encouragement
excited
for
to-
me by making fun of me, which is a novel approach.
No, I might have sounded sarcastic, but
No, you were absolutely very sarcastic. But I
the
appreciate the support, even though it comes in the way that it does. I don't like the way I come
I-
sometimes. You ever watch Duck Soup?